I am Jeff Foxworthy, and welcome to Gamekeeper Podcast. If you want to learn more about farming for wildlife and habitat management, then, buddy, you are in the right place. Join the Gamekeeper crew direct from Mossy Oak Land Enhancement Studio as they discuss the latest wildlife and habitat management practices, news, and, of course, hunting. There's no telling what you'll learn, but I'm going to tell you, I bet it's interesting. Enjoy.
We're live in 3, 2, 1.
Lanny.
Bobby.
For the
Voice of authority over there. Did you hear that?
Man, I tell you.
Here we are for the 400th time.
I really can't believe this, you know. You couldn't even spell podcast when we started this.
400.
You still can't.
Yeah.
No, it's well, I'm just grateful that people have listened. We've got.
I
It's
think
been a lot of
we're
fun.
up to about 14 listeners now.
So the number 400, there's some relevance around the number 400. How long did Moses and the people
Nah,
wander?
that's 40, dude. No, it's 40. You're missing 440
Well,
up.
so I know that 40 years in the wilderness, but there's also
So, I mean, how does that relate to 400 other than having another zero?
So there was a covenant, and God told Abraham his descendants would be in bondage for 400 years. So I'm kind of thinking we're like in bondage here on 400
I
episodes.
gotcha.
Thought there might be a little bit of a tie-in there.
So they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years and they were in bondage for 400?
That's what you know. What that's what Google told me this morning. I didn't. I just said, is there any relevance to 400? And that's what came up. And I thought you would jump on the bondage.
Good. So is that what we're in bondage right now?
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying,
I
Bobby?
would think
Could
we
be.
are, yeah.
I feel
By
like I'm
Bobby.
in bondage because I'm having to sit in here
Plus, he's trying
in
to
the
do
middle of
yeah.
December.
You know how many podcasts he's trying to get us to do this week?
I know. Good luck
Well,
with that.
we didn't do one last week, so we got to get caught up. And y'all won't want to do one the week of Christmas, nor will I. So we're just trying to get caught up and get ahead.
There we go. Merry Christmas.
All I can say is membership has its privileges.
So
Uh-oh.
look,
Somebody's not going to show up.
let me go ahead and get our guests. Speaking
of bondage.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
for
bondage,
real.
we've got Mr. Brent Lochala,
There it is.
who's
We got a kazoo.
there he is. He got a
We
special
got a
horn.
special horn.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's from Caledonia, Mississippi.
Oh, homeboy.
And
That's
if
right.
anybody knows about etiquette or lack of etiquette, I thought Brent could help us out here.
Good.
Are we going to be talking about etiquette today?
We are. Ways that we should behave.
Can you think of a better word for it, maybe?
Behavior.
Kind of sounds like which fork do I use?
Yeah, I was
Later.
thinking the
it
same
does,
thing.
yeah.
What about
yeah.
couth? What about
Yeah,
couth?
couth.
Couth
Couth.
is a good word, yeah.
Yeah.
Manners, maybe?
Manners.
Or
How you should act. Yeah.
Courtesy.
Courtesy.
Common.
Sportsmanship.
What
you know,
would-
there's a lot of.
What would Bobby do?
What would Bobby do?
Yeah, don't do that.
WWE.
I've got some
Yeah.
scenarios where I don't know if Bobby did the right thing or not.
There's probably a
I
lot of
definitely remember some.
You were there. I have
I was
witnesses.
there.
I have eyewitnesses.
that. Yeah.
Well, so we'll see.
So before we get into that, does anybody have any blood on the biologic? There's a bunch of bucks getting shot right
It
now.
is.
Yeah, I tend to go with the youth, even though I've heard of some big ones dying from grown-ups. So there have been several. Ran into John Ross McCartney, who actually hunts and has bought the place we used to hunt in Macon.
Oh, really?
And he was checking.
I'll send him my own
He was
X
checking
maps.
his son out of school early Friday, all excited because they hadn't had a chance to go yet. And then he sent me a picture that night. He killed a beautiful 8-point.
That's nice.
John Walter McCartney.
It's a
Shout out
beautiful,
place.
beautiful property,
It
too.
is.
It
It
is.
is. And he's the right guy to take it where it needs to go to. He's really done a lot to it. So.
Awesome. That's
Yep.
good. Good to hear
Maybe we'll
somebody
all go
is
see it.
continuing to
Yeah,
work
we
on
can go see it next April, maybe.
Ooh.
Check it
Highly,
out.
highly unlikely.
Yeah, so Lucas Caldwell, 9 years old. He's out of Tennessee. Killed a great buck.
Nice.
First deer. Congrats, Lucas. What you got, Dud?
Well, Mitt Wardlaw ate lunch with us yesterday, and he was telling us the story of his son Mitchell, 9 years old again, shot a super old double main beam buck right near town.
234 pounds.
234
Near
pounds.
town, Starkville, West Point?
Yeah,
Yes.
right,
Well, I'm
where
not
was
going to
that?
get into super specific details on that. But
Where was that? Dud?
Right around here. I know where it was.
You know, that's speaking of etiquette. And
We're not gonna say where it was.
But yeah, he made a good shot with his 6.5 Creedmoor and put it down. Mitt says he's really good at just practicing, like dry firing on does and things. I thought that was a really neat idea. And
Good practice.
because of that, he's been really successful in his hunting endeavors. And my friend Lee Battle, he's a local musician around here and good friend of all of ours. He shot I think it was over 150 pounds. I think I saw the scale said 154, which is a huge doe
That is a trophy doe.
for Mississippi.
Yeah.
Burger
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, 154. I'm jealous of that.
That's a true trophy there.
That is.
in
Yes.
Mississippi. Yes.
So, Brent, how about Hallie Crim? Big 6-point last weekend.
Big deer, and a lot like you're talking about with Mitt and Mitchell. Her and her dad and Hunter, they are meticulous about going through the process, and so they're very good when it comes down to crunch time.
Yeah.
They've grown up with it.
Yeah, it's important to spend time with them talking about that.
Well, her dad he's going to put her on some deer. There's no doubt
Oh,
about
my
it. There's
gosh.
probably a lot of deer in her future.
Yeah.
Speaking of etiquette, I don't know if I'd want him being my neighbor. Actually, I would, because he would help me trap a
Yeah,
lot.
you wouldn't have any nest predators.
No,
that's
you
for
wouldn't.
sure.
That is for sure. All right, Dudley, have you? This is time for our nutrient rapid fire. You got some questions for?
No, I think hadn't we already rapid fired you, Brent?
I think so. I think
okay.
so.
No,
Wah.
we'll,
We have a wah, wah, wah.
move on
You got
from
a
that
sound? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so look, I've got a little quote I'd like to read just to kind of set the table for today. Wow, I take my glasses off and I got to put them right back on. All right.
All right.
We are, look, as hunters, we are measured more as hunters by the things we choose not to shoot than by those that we do. I thought
There you
that was
go.
a
That's
good
a
quote.
gamekeeper quote right there.
That's boring. What's that up? What's up with that?
Well,
I get it. I get it.
do we need to do we need to get a whiteboard out for Doxy here? To
Maybe.
explain this to
I
him?
mean, it could be. Don't judge me on that.
All right.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a good one.
It is.
Sometimes, because Dudley, you've chosen not to shoot a buck this year.
I have.
Well, we might be judged by like our creator, but
I would think
unfortunately,
so.
I don't think we're judged by the public that way.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's about what they're grip and grin with.
Yeah, and I believe, God put these deer here for us to shoot.
Yeah, he did.
Well,
Yeah, get an amen on that.
that goes to the root of why we even have a job.
That's
Like,
exactly right.
we get to do this in the process of, taking care of them,
That's exactly right.
managing them.
It is.
We get to do what we want within the laws, right?
Absolutely.
I
but
100%.
the laws of nature. If we don't take care of them, if we kill too many, or we
Then we
don't
won't have
manage,
them.
then we won't have them to enjoy. So
So
honestly,
there's
doing
a
the
fine
right,
line.
we're going to talk about today. Doing the right thing is actually selfish,
Yeah.
if you think about it. But still, do the right thing.
What did you explain that to me? Doing the right thing is actually selfish.
Yeah,
Taking
'cause
care of the
to
critters.
making it better.
Because if we don't take care of the critters and you shoot too many,
You won't have them.
you won't have any. So to continue to enjoy what you love so much,
I'm with him.
You need to do the right thing.
And to preserve his heritage.
And
I
that
mean,
goes down
100%.
property to property too.
And how you manage the property, too.
Correct. Correct.
And the whole idea of conservation is making it better, by utilizing it. You know what I mean? So that's really what we're doing.
Yeah,
So
and I mean,
the selfish
this
part
is a
of it is
touchy
making
subject.
it better.
We don't. Let's say right off the bat, we do not ever want to be preachy. We want to help people. We want to shine light from the people we've heard from and learned from. But the big thing is this: all keep it fun every
right.
day. We've evolved as a kind of a hunting industry society to where so many people enjoy taking care of their place and making it better. Now, a subset of that is I might kill a lot bigger deer because I'm taking care of it. That's cool. All of that's cool. But
It's a
just keep it
long-term
fun.
approach, yeah.
Everything. We poke at each other all the time. Practical jokes, constantly cutting each other down, and just don't take yourself so serious, and put the critters first. And let's go have fun every day, no matter what. Kill them, not kill them.
Yep. No, those are good words. So on today's podcast, we're going to walk down this dirt road of hypothetical situations.
You've been working on this for a while.
Bobby loves drama.
I've got a few to throw out to
He's
you
trying
guys
to get a
see-
new book out of this. You watch him.
Well,
I was
getting that
working
feeling.
going.
I can see the short stories in this new drama novel.
Yeah.
Toxic. I was thinking the same thing. I had that feeling that we were working on the.
He's
the intro
always
to a
good at
book.
getting others to kind of do his bid in a quiet way. That's super strategic. That's why.
So before I throw out a hypothetical, the one thing I'd like to start with is like we've all been to and visited different hunting clubs, and a lot of them have different depending on how many members there might be. I mean, if there's just a few of you, you can stand around and say, "Well, I want to go here. Where do you want to go?" And y'all kind of work it out. But sometimes if there's more members, there's a more formal figure out where everybody goes.
Drawing straws. Or
Yeah,
something.
Toxie, you've been a part of the legendary Choctaw Bluff. What were some of the better ways you've seen where club members decide where they're going to hunt?
Well, they had a fairly large tract of land, even for the number of members, and they had everything. They were very disciplined about it, and so it was kind of like you go in there in the whatever, the great room, the fireplace room. There was a big chalkboard already with lines across it, just like a notebook paper, but a big chalkboard. And when you, depending on the weekends, it would be like, I think we would draw cards, and then a person won and another one, and you put your name up there first, second, third, and you choose a territory. There might have been, I don't know, 25 or 30, 25 territories, something like that. And so you put your name up there, and that's where you got to hunt. Nobody else could go through there, drive through there, be on it at all. And I will say this, one of the great things about hunting around that, growing up with that, almost nobody ever, making a small selfish exception like going on someone's territory they had was so frowned upon that nobody ever did it. And so, right, wrong, or different, you're limited to that spot. But it was, I think, a great way to be, one, the quality of the hunt, not, someone can't be in your stand or disturb it right before you got there, but the safety issue too.
Oh, 100%. It's about
And
safety.
so,
so they cut cards. And
well, that was so if you showed up any other time, you showed up, no one else is, but wherever you put your name up and pick a territory, and then you had it. But pretty much for the most part on weekends, and especially in turkey season, most people would go for the weekend. So on Friday night, maybe
Draw
7 o'clock,
cards.
something like that, they'd have a set time. And if you weren't there, you missed out, So they would do that, and it was kind of fun. Everybody around the table, they'd deal all the cards out one at a time and turn them all over. And the highest, ace of spades would
Goes
always
first.
trump it. Whatever card was highest won that round. That person walks up there, put his name. And it was funny how, especially in the spring, it was such a big deal. So like covert, strategic, someone might have had someone out listening. They might have been, they would consult with people that worked down there trying to get information. It was a lot of fun. But they had a limited amount of time to put their name in their territory. And, it might take an hour in the process of everybody that was there to get their name up there and pick a spot, one at a time.
so then they would cut cards again for the second place.
That's right.
Second round.
One at a time, one person would win.
I got you. That's a good social
And
exercise, too.
it was a lot of.
I bet some booing and some no and some yeah.
It was
How many people are we talking about? Dozens?
No, there might have been when I was growing up. There's a lot of them now, and I have no idea what goes on now. With that means they got a lot more people. I would say maybe a busy weekend, maybe 15, 20.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, we did the card.
Yeah, but they had a lot of land, so you had a pretty good size.
Dozens? That's a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Sure is.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Lady,
I would never say it was dozens like that. Like I said, 15, 20.
A
Probably
process
most
having
of
a process like that takes out some of that.
That's right.
Yeah,
Some of
because
that, everybody knows what to expect. This is the way we're going to do it.
and you're choosing an area,
right.
not a particular stand.
So,
So-
etiquette and manners are sort of subjective to everybody. Everybody's got their own interpretation. That takes that out of play.
so there was always like the three brothers that would be like around. They're gone now, but around Daddy's age, be 90s to 100 probably by now. They still had one of them was considered the president of the club. And so my dad, Mr. Fox, always said every club, every lease needs a benevolent dictator.
That's right.
That democracy won't work.
No doubt.
And I hate to say that about hunting people, and all of us in here too. You need that. You just agree ahead of time. This guy at the end of the day calls the shots.
Yep.
It's kind of like all the board of directors need to have an odd number so you don't ever have a tie vote and a squabble over it.
You got to have a
And
guy
so
that keeps rules.
what I
right.
wanted to point out is that I was so blessed to be around that. as of next year, it will have been a hunting club 100 years.
That's pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
A turkey hunting club that was started in 1926. So, over that time and a couple generation after generation, you learn the things that you're doing wrong to fix them, along these lines. Because, again, at another place, it might just be whoever shows up, puts their name up, and goes to that territory. Well, everybody's racing in to beat the other one there, and then that's not fair because this guy had to work late and all. So, you just adapt to where you make it as fair as possible, and everybody agrees to it.
Does anybody else have an experience in that?
I think most of mine have been kind of first come, first serve on private land clubs. Whoever gets there first and puts their name on the stand. But the MDWFP does a really good job on the public draw hunts. With a random number, and they usually pull a ping pong ball.
That's what I was going to say when he was describing that process. It's a lot like a waterfowl draw.
Like a waterfowl draw on a ping pong ball, and you pick a number, and if they draw your number first, you get, just like Toxie's saying, you pick your territory, and everybody respects it, and really nobody can argue about it because it is random.
I'm trying to figure how, when I was in school, we'd go out to the refuge of the green timber hunts, and they had a way, I can't remember how they drew those.
Yeah.
Was it maybe on a ping pong ball?
It was ping pong ball.
Ping pong balls, like Howard Miller, the same way. They draw a number for order.
That was
then
like-
you pick your blind.
I'm talking about like late 70s, early 80s.
Now,
Back in the 1900s.
When I was real young, they just let the dogs loose, and everybody got to hunt. So
A good point about all this and a lot of stuff we talk about today, I think, is, I'm not saying how you should do it like I've been around it or this either, but if the key is like, or the difficult thing or the important thing to be careful about is when you have a group. If somebody owns the land you hunt on,
that's right.
or somebody leases it and pays for it, and then you're
They're
part of
the
that,
benevolent
then you got the
dictator,
benevolent dictator, and that'll kind of break all ties and stuff. But when you got a club, kind of a collective, cooperative, quote unquote,
Everybody's pitching in.
democracy thing. The important thing is that you all agree on something and stick to it, and if that works for you, more power to you. The most important thing isn't the rules. The most important is everybody getting along and, like I said earlier, having fun every day, rain or shine, kill or not kill.
Well,
and,
I don't know.
That's the point that we kind of want to make about
Well,
it.
and safety. Look, these organizations. When
that
got
comes
multiple,
first over
that comes
everything.
first over it.
Absolutely.
Safety comes first.
Yep,
You have to. Multiple people. You've got to be organized and you got to be safe about it. So safety's first, I would say.
All right. Anybody else got anything to add before we move on that one, Dudley?
No, growing up, we used the card system as well during duck season for sure, and it works great.
All right. I'm going to throw out this first hypothetical.
All right.
All right. So you're hunting on some public ground.
You don't know nothing about that, Bobby.
So this is very hypothetical.
Very
for me.
hypothetical.
For you.
All right, so you're hunting on some, I'm trying to envision what this might be like. So, but big deer comes by, you're bow hunting.
Yeah, bow hunting.
Yeah, you run an arrow, or it could be rifle, whatever you want.
We're hunting.
You make a little bit of a bad shot, and you think, well, I probably need to give him just a little bit, Mm-hmm. By the time you get down, maybe you hear a rifle shot off in the distance. Maybe you hear, or maybe you get on this blood trail and somebody is there already. Somebody has found your deer. What happens then? What if they're saying, well, this is my deer?
Well, I think you have to qualify your deer. A little bit more information is needed here. So you mentioned a shot, just off in the distance. Was it in the direction that the deer ran?
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to
So
go.
in
Because
other
maybe
words, the
somebody
other
else-
person finished the deer off.
Is that what you're saying?
That's
Somebody,
what I'm trying to say, yeah.
The way I was raised with this scenario, again, let's go back to the dog hunting scenario that I talked about before, which was how I was introduced to deer hunting. The rule was whoever drew first blood. You know what I mean? So, because often,
really?
there was often, obviously multiple shooters at the deer as it was running. So that's, kind of the rule I've always kind of lived by is who drew first blood. So,
Brent, what would you add to that?
Well, the scenario you describe, I would say, if your shot was a lethal shot,
That's what I was going to say.
then that's your deer. They finished it all. I don't see why between me and you couldn't come to an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a less than lethal shot, that's their deer.
Mm-hmm.
You just hobbled it a little bit for them, I guess.
You ever heard of this scenario unfolding anywhere?
I've heard of this scenario unfolding with specific to dog hunting, and that's
Yeah.
kind of the reference I was
Yeah,
making.
and we had that issue.
Yeah.
So
So
what their rule was, right, wrong, or indifferent, the last person that shot.
Yeah, and I was the opposite. Yeah, mine was first blood.
Yeah.
Now I've heard without the second shot, the scenario where a deer maybe after shot crosses the property line, then you've got an adjoining landowner recovering a deer. So then you've got a whole nother set of considerations.
You need to
Yeah.
make some phone calls then.
Yeah, well, that's one of my scenarios here. Is if you one of the guys here, if y'all shoot a deer with your bow, and it runs onto a neighbor, you've got to call that neighbor, right?
Absolutely.
100%.
So do you expect that return? Do you expect someone hunting next to you?
I would.
Always,
So if you
always.
find out that they're on your place, what do you do? If you find they're on your place trailing a deer, or went and pulled a deer out without letting you know, do you call them, say something to them? Have they broken a law?
Well, first of all, with these kind of scenarios, you can't go by what somebody tells you happened. You know what I mean? Like if you heard that some guy went on your land and drug a deer off of it, and you can't prove it, you need to be careful about what you're saying, because we know, word travels fast, and what does they say? There's your story, my story, then really what happened. You know what I mean? So I would advise people off of, being confrontational off of stuff that they hearsay and not being able to prove first off.
Great point there. I'm going to go with the wisdom of our Mississippi State man. It depends.
Mm-hmm. But I think we're all in agreement. If we would call the landowner and say, "Hey, I got a deer over there. I need to go."
I mean, it also depends on your
Absolutely call.
relationship.
Yeah. You can't by law. You can't go over there.
No,
without
that's
getting
illegal.
permission. Yeah.
That's right.
And I was kind of trying to get to that point.
So it's like it's not whether you just can't.
Yeah,
It's
some-
against the law.
Yeah. Some states are different, So
If it's- yeah, that's right.
in our area, we have a military base, so we get a lot of people hunting here that grew up in other parts of the country, and I've had interactions with people on private land that where they came from. A lot of Northwest
right.
states, if
They
it's
didn't
not
understand.
posted, then they can access it. So there's
that's
some
right.
call it sort of cultural differences, but yeah, in our area specifically, there's no right to recover law. If the deer is on another property, you've got to get permission. And the other side of that coin is if you get word someone's on you in real time, not a day after, then I think you certainly engage with them. And then, depending on your relationship with them, that a whole nother set of considerations you got to give. What's that interaction going to be like? Because again, another good reason to practice good etiquette in hunting is everyone's armed.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And on the wildlife thing, you don't own the wildlife. You own the land. You're deeded the land. You're not deeded that buck.
Well,
that's
in
sitting on-
reality, we're barring it too.
and we're barring that too. But I mean, I guess you're paying for a temporary right to control it until it's either passed until you die or something else happens. But so, I mean, it's
Yeah. So I think the takeaway there is depending on the state. Your state, there could be some different laws, but you need to let a landowner know.
Yeah, I mean, it's
100%.
The safety thing is irregardless of that. Honestly, just and common sense. I mean, I can remember, I don't know if it's still, but not that long ago, people talking about going to some of the northeastern states, and a bunch of them were going to go rabbit hunting. They just rode through the countryside, and looks like a good spot. Put the dogs out here. I mean, there wasn't a lot of private property, land protection, and regulations, but.
And to Brent's point, there's a lot of states. I mean, like this, like the color of the fence posts, and
Purple.
purple, and that's what it is. What state
Purple,
is that?
Missouri.
I think that's
In South Dakota, too.
South
too.
Dakota is one of the states I was thinking of. I had an interaction with a pilot from South Dakota, and he was rambling around on land because there wasn't any purple.
Yeah,
markings.
I think Maine. If it's not posted, my understanding is you can hunt it.
go.
That's the state I was talking about.
Yeah. Bob Humphrey explained that to us.
And then, like you said, some places they look at a public place to park. Anywhere they can walk to, they can go. It's like, not that, check your local laws for sure.
All right, Dudley, you got a scenario you want to pitch
I've
out?
written a ton of them down. One of the ones that I have a bit of experience with, and I think a lot of us do, is what about if you know your neighbor is doing something illegal? And so
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. Nice
The-
one, Doug.
Such as.
Okay.
It depends.
It depends. There you go.
let's just say it's a week before the turkey opener, and you know that your neighbor has driven through on their tractor and spread bait all up and down the roads.
Well, that's the hard,
in a state where it's not legal.
So you got to be careful because you don't know anything for total sure.
That's right.
Unless you walked over there and look at it, where you had to trespass to do that too. So, if you're not sure, I guess you could call the law officer to go check it out maybe. But
Are you willing to sign an affidavit that be admitted in a court of law that says
no.
All right, so
that
let's
wouldn't matter.
let's just
Either
say
it
you
is
can-
or it didn't.
Let's just say you're
Regardless,
driving.
you signed something. Yeah.
okay?
You're driving in and you share a road. You share a private road where you own one
This is
side,
getting better.
and you can see the bait.
That's different because it's actually
You can
the
see
part
the
of,
bait
Yeah.
from your road.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and your neighbor have other problems.
Yeah.
It might not hurt to talk to your neighbor first, but you don't know. Everybody's different. Some people, a neighbor would just
He might have
be
been feeding
impossible to
hogs,
deal with.
Yeah.
so-
He was feeding for hogs. That's what it was.
The worst thing about that is then you got to consider that you now know about it.
Right.
It's not like you could say, "Oh, I didn't know it was there. It was on the other property." You now know it,
You're kind of liable.
and then you got to be, depending on the state,
Right.
way away from it. Can't even hunt that part of your property type thing. So in that case, and you know for sure, and it would affect your property, I think you got to say something to somebody.
So what did you do?
Well, I'll be honest on this. There was a local game warden that already knew it was going on before we discovered it, and so
that helped.
I didn't have to be a tattletale.
Yeah, that's a tough one because nobody.
I think if it impedes on your right to participate in the recreational activities that are lawful on your land, you have a right to say something about it.
That makes sense.
Thank you.
I mean,
Doug.
nobody
Yeah.
wants a nobody wants a tattletale,
Yeah.
and nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes.
But if you've worked your butt off on your place, to have turkeys or deer, and somebody else does something that adjoins you that could, take away from that right, you got a right to say something.
Yeah.
that's tough. That's a tough call.
That's a
on
tough
some of
one,
this.
though.
And hopefully, maybe you could rewind that scenario a little bit and try to have a good relationship with your neighbors so you can discuss these things before they happen.
Yeah, no, 100%. We always talk about the cooperatives that are available if people, would combine efforts on land. It is huge, and I think that's a good point that you're saying. You need to be talking to your neighbors.
Yeah, what an ounce of prevention.
Yep.
Yeah, that,
And, you got to get along with them. So it would make sense to develop a relationship with them instead of, just kind of going to your place and not meeting anybody.
Yeah.
And if you do have a relationship with them, then some of your actions may be noticed.
What's the old saying?
Leading by example or whatever.
Oh, good fences make good neighbors, but it's
Yeah.
not literally the fence. It's the conversation and the agreement that you have to know where each other stand.
Well,
Communication.
Yeah, communication.
speaking of fences, let's talk about fence lines and hunting fence
I
lines.
knew this was going to come
we
up.
knew that.
Yeah,
one.
if you've got a neighbor that puts a ladder stand up on a,
Is there a law about that? Is what my question is. I don't even know if is there a law.
I would
I don't know. I think it's
assume
like
it
who
would
owns the
vary
tree
by
it's
the
on.
state.
So if your stand is on your property, is by
think
3
you-
feet, you're okay.
I think you own every inch of it.
Yeah.
I think.
Only problem I've had is where I found a few that were, I think, even though it wasn't flagged, I'm pretty sure it was on the other property, but they literally could not even see on their own property. They could only see on mine
Yeah.
from the stand. And so, what do you do? Nothing you really
I
can
don't think
do.
there's
But
nothing you can do there.
you can turn it over to the law officer if you're worried about it or whatever, But other than that, I guess it is
I've
what it
taken
is.
I've taken an unpopular position on this sometimes on social media and on the old forums when it would come up, because I would rather a neighbor have a stand on the line, shooting and looking back into them, than a stand 50 or 100 yards off the line where they
Shooting
could
over,
potentially
yeah.
be shooting
Correct.
back that
Safety
way.
issue
The
again.
key
That's
is though,
right.
could they see?
That's a good
Is it
point.
really faced back on them? Another
Yeah,
place
that's right.
I know about. There's a shooting house, literally right on the painted line, property line. I mean, literally a foot in front of the window, and it doesn't have any windows cut out except straight ahead, facing on to not their property.
Right. That's a tough one. Gosh, I remember having this scenario happen in the past, and I've been on both sides of that scenario before. A lot of property lines it's a cattle pasture that doesn't have good habitat, and you want to put your stand on the line, and your neighbor has cows? There's not going to be any deer out in that field for the most part. And you might even could black out those windows on that side to kind of prove your point that, I'm not encroaching on you. I'm putting a stand on my land.
Right.
And maybe they don't have good bedding cover that you're messing up. So that's one thing when, neighbors have stands on the line. If I had a stand on the line, I would use the wind to my advantage, and my wind would mess up their spot. So maybe that's an ethical problem. But if that area doesn't hold game very much, then it wouldn't be an ethical problem for your scent to go all out there and quote unquote booger up their field. So I kind of see both sides on that. Facing, like y'all were saying earlier, where the stand is on the line and faces not their land, that's just wrong. Ethically, it may be legal,
Yeah.
but I don't know if anybody could argue that that's an ethical or a safe scenario.
Yeah, and just with the way properties get timbered and different, oftentimes that property line is where there's a timber change too. There's a change of features.
Lines.
Quite
the-
often.
That's right.
Wildlife travel edges. There's typically an edge within a property line.
But I still would rather my neighbor be on the line shooting
Facing
into
his
them,
way.
especially the scenario you mentioned.
For
If you've
sure.
got livestock, if that stands on the line, they're not shooting from 50 or 100 yards in their property back towards cows.
Yeah,
I don't
and-
know. In my opinion, or my experience too, I've run into those quite a few, and I've never seen one where they didn't position it to at least be able to still shoot or look on to the next door
Right.
property.
You sure want to see.
Nothing
Now,
more to, I
looking
guess,
is-
it could be-
I
We
ain't
talking
hunting,
about
I'm looking.
We talking about looking.
yeah.
Yeah.
I ain't hunting.
So there was
I'm just looking.
I
There
mean,
was a-
people understand. I mean, and
But not,
it's a fine line. You want to be a goody two shoes about everything, but it's just it's a safety. It's a
Safety first,
Yeah.
always,
Yeah.
man.
Think about how many places that you know of where there's the two stand, where there was a retaliation stand. or
Oh,
some
yeah,
type of-
yeah.
some
Love
type of
those.
screening put
yeah.
up. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. When I've been across it, I just have stayed completely away. It just kind of gives me the hibbies. I mean, I guess it'd be safe if you went up there and got in a stand in the black dark, and maybe. But at any other time, if someone was there,
Yeah, I would get it.
It's
I just wouldn't want to be near them anyway.
Wear your orange.
That's right.
you know?
That's right.
I want to relax and
Yeah, I think those are more just symbolic. I don't know that they ever sit side by side. I think it's just a way of them.
I know you're there.
Block, that's right,
I know
yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, well, so
I
there
got a
was,
ladder stand too. Yeah.
there was recently there was a post in a Mississippi forum over the weekend where someone had a clear cut, and then they put a ladder stand up. The only tree was actually on the neighbor, and he put the tree on the neighbor, and the neighbor was saying that since it's on me, I could hunt it as well, couldn't I? He was kind of asking the forum.
If it's on his personal property, yes, he can hunt it.
And he was saying that in his mind, whoever got there first would.
Well, I would think he
so
would
if
trump
it's-
it all the way around.
Well,
if
I think
the
you could do it-
stand is on his place.
If you walk in your property line and someone's got to stand legitimately 100% on your property, I have run into that a couple of times. Take the stand down and drag it back over onto him, and lay it on the ground or something.
100%.
That'll
I've
send a
done. I
message,
have
yeah.
done that too.
If you're-
Brent, would you hunt that stand? If that was in yours?
Potentially, and I saw that post, and I don't know if I read it wrong. I sort of interpreted as if they had a consensus that was sort of an agreement between them.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
So
know.
I mean, so
okay.
that changes. That's the good.
That's different.
That's
Well,
good.
I've had
That's
that too.
etiquette.
And I've had where a neighbor that's important and you're friends with, and I said, you know what, just leave it there. You hunt there, we'll stay away from it, and yield to them. As being a good neighbor. That you can do that too.
you sure can.
It's hard sometimes unless it's someone you really know and stuff like we did.
But when it comes down to it, technically in that scenario, where whoever's owns the land where the tree stand is, they're the ones with the rights.
100%.
I think
That's
so.
that's their land. I mean,
That's their
that's
land.
right.
So I guess if they were at the bottom of the tree stand and had to pick who's going to get to hunt it that morning, I would think it would be the landowner.
Only one of them's got the right to be standing there.
Unless it's like a property line tree.
Yeah, and I think you were saying this is in Is this
The
wasn't
only-
this
the-
was not a property line tree.
No, the only tree was was on him.
It was squarely on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't a yellow stripe tree.
Right. We got a lot of them. Isn't that funny? I think that's where people like to put their stands, me included.
And that's an interesting scenario, and we could probably talk 30 more minutes about that and have different scenarios.
Just remember,
on
Lanny,
right.
one stripe means you're entering, two stripes means you're leaving.
You better be on the right side.
right.
Brent, have you got a scenario we could talk about?
Yeah, I've got one that I disagree somewhat with some of the consensus on social media, and mainly amongst some of the traveling hunters when it comes to public land. The idea that first to the gate, like if you get there, someone's already there, that you automatically, it's just understood, you move on. Some of these gates and access points have a lot of acres behind them.
Yeah, like 5,000 or 6,000 acres in some
and
instances.
just because you chose to get up at 2 a.m. doesn't entitle you to everything behind that gate. I mean, it's still public land.
So how do you handle that?
You go in and hunt. Now, it depends. Like I made some notes for this: who, what, when, where. Yeah,
Those are
because
good
there's
notes on your
always
hand.
things
Always
you
good
got to
ones,
think
yeah.
about. Am I turkey hunting or deer hunting? You handle every one of those situations differently.
100%. Yeah.
But there's way too much ground behind some of these gates to think that someone can. It is public land, and you don't just entitle yourself to thousands of acres just for getting there early. And I would even say if your hunt gets messed up, maybe that's the cost of getting there ridiculously early, where you couldn't have a conversation with someone else that might come up. I've made friends at public land gates. I've hunted with, most of the time, I would say the majority of the time, I've ended up hunting with someone else.
That's the majority of the time that happens to me too. Even when you run into people in the woods, isn't that right? Brent?
That is right,
We
Lanny.
ran into each other a couple of times ourselves.
I ran into Lanny one morning, and I had committed and made a move. And when I saw him, because I didn't know who he was,
I made my move earlier.
yeah, he was in position, and I had made a move, but I couldn't leave without potentially messing him up, because this turkey was getting close, and if I had tried to back out, I could have messed his hunt up. So I just froze. I just actually ended up calling for him.
Yeah, we ended up hanging out after that. It was cool.
So
But to your point, having the conversation is the most important part. And I hear where you're coming from there, because initially I'd have been like, now hold up. But then I was thinking of the scenario in my mind. What if there's, one turkey goblin in there, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
But I hear where you're coming from, that maybe the guy getting us so early should have been more considerate to, think
if
about
it's
that.
like multiple drainages or
Yeah.
the road has a Y, 200 yards into the gate or something, then I can see why it would be okay to,
so the scenario I mentioned, if I go in there, there's already a truck there, but there's a lot of land behind it. There's a Y. If I go in there,
you may even
and
look at the ground for footprints.
that's right. I'm probably gonna first turkey that gobbles. I'm gonna assume that's where that guy is.
Yeah, I
Right
would
or
too.
wrong,
100%.
and
I
I'll go
would too.
find something else to hunt. That would be my indicator that,
And
that may not be accurate all the time, but that's just courtesy. That's
it's a little bit of a local nature too, because on some of the land that you and I know we hunt, you can only park at those gates. So in other scenarios, you don't necessarily, other public lands, you don't necessarily have to park at a gate. So how far would you need? Would you go down 100 yards and park somewhere else?
yeah.
You know what I
If
mean?
you avoid a gate just because the truck's there, still got to be a good person once you get in there. There's still, not just Wild West, but a lot of these properties have water access.
Yeah.
So how do you know? Just a vehicle at a gate doesn't mean, or no vehicle at a gate doesn't mean there's no one in there.
no.
So you still, I just never subscribe to the idea, unless it's a small tract,
Yeah.
that getting there first gave you free run on that
So
property.
I'll say that I agree with you on that, but being the introverted person I am, I'm
gonna-
probably
you're
just
gonna
going to
keep on
keep
rolling,
driving
yeah.
and find a spot that I know nobody's at.
Yeah.
If you can,
if
some
you
places you
can.
can.
Same places.
Correct.
Right.
But like Lanny was saying, how far down the road is fair? I can, around here we have drainages and ridges.
Yeah.
And I try to, I'm not going to hunt that same drainage or area. I may
Especially
drive
turkey
down
hunting, yeah.
600 yards and get in another drainage. What if they mess up on that turkey and it decides to come up my drainage instead,
Yeah. When
and then
it
you're
was-
not parking on top of them.
Yeah, some of these river bottoms through here with public access, when it was good, a lot of these places where the gate's situated, there would be a ridge system, then it dropped off in a bottom.
Yeah.
Two very distinct areas behind those gates. And when it was good, there were turkeys. There was way more than one turkey to hunt. And so, again, I think that's where I just developed that. You just understood. And
That was the good old days.
it was.
That goes back to we were having good hatches.
That's right.
consistently.
Yeah, so if we have more turkeys, it doesn't matter. Everybody piling up at a gate.
And honestly, I do off this topic a little bit. I remember when there was just gnashing of teeth when they outlawed shooting jakes, because proudly Mississippi was the first state to have a size restriction on antlers.
Right.
The first one to make it illegal to shoot jakes, except for a kid. And the people that were relegated to hunting like public land were so mad. And then they lived through a year, and then the next time it happened, they had so many more goblin turkeys to hunt that it was like it actually benefited the public land more than anybody, hunters.
So, Brent, I think also what I'm hearing is that if you encounter somebody at the gate, y'all pull up about the same time, that you've learned that if you approach them in a friendly manner, rather than a "I was here first" attitude, that oftentimes you make a friend and the results are just better.
Yeah, I've got friends I've had for decades that I met at public land gates.
Me too.
If-
I'll echo
yeah.
that one.
So, do you normally try to say, "Hey, this is the direction I'm hoping to go. I think there may be a bird goblin back here."
I approach
maybe
it as
you
where
don't
are you
even-
going, you know?
You may not want to give that information out, but you may want to say, "Well, I'm going to go down this road 500 yards, and then I'm going to veer off to the west." You know, I mean, like,
Yeah, you feel your way through it. I mean, and you can tell right off the bat someone else's attitude, body language, what you know. And if there's a group, if there's two of them together, odds are they're probably gonna go their own way. But
Yeah.
if it's just another single person, it's just like running into somebody somewhere else. If you're the type of person that wants to get along with people, generally, you're probably going to get along.
I hadn't ran into a single scenario where there was one person at the gate, and I was too. Either I was there first or they were there first, and we didn't work it out somehow. Usually, we ended up hunting together.
Yep.
Turkey hunting. Now I'm turkey hunting specifically.
That's right,
This
me
is
too.
more of a reference to turkey hunting than anything, you know. So,
So my
but
favorite.
to your point too, if there's
Let me
sorry,
tell
there's
my
multiple,
favorite-
they're gonna do their thing.
I'm gonna tell my favorite story. It just
right.
reminded me of this, and it was quite a few years ago. So I won't use names, but there are two people that are friends of mine, or mostly y'all, one of them. And so there's an older man who was over all the land for a big landowning company. So they leased land to people. And so the guy that leased it, and they had a hunting club, it was flooded in the edge of a bean field, and there was a lot of ducks. And he went down there to go duck hunting. And he got there, and just fixing to start break daylight. And all of a sudden, up steps the guy that's right there by him. And he's like, he saw him and went over and caught him poaching. Well, it turns out it was the son of the man leasing it to people.
Oh,
So he had seen there's ducks and stuff there, and he took the liberty, which he was wrong, to poach on that land. And so when this guy we know approached him about it, he said, "Hey, we paid for the lease on this. We got it." He said, "Yes, sir. I know. You're right, and I'm trespassing. I'm poaching. And honestly, you got every right to write me a ticket. In fact, I'll go out with you and we'll call the game warden." And he said, "But man, can I ask you one favor?" He said, "Let me stick around and shoot a limit of ducks with you, because there's a bunch of ducks coming in here this morning." And the guys goes, "What the heck? Yeah, stick around." And they ended up being lifelong good friends.
that's right. Yeah, too.
Even though he was poaching, and even though, and I'll say this, I know the guy really well. I wouldn't dare use his name out there. He is one of those guys can talk his way into or out of any situation.
These
On
are two
top of
people
that-
in the industry too, by the way.
No. Actually,
thinking
this,
it's a different
you're
scenario.
Different person than you think. I'll tell
so
you
this,
after the podcast.
so this person was the son of the landowner.
No, the guy that worked for a company that owned the land.
Okay.
So it wasn't Weyerhaeuser, but just say your guy over all the Weyerhaeuser lands, and leasing them to people. that guy's son went hunting on a place. It would be like that situation. But anyway, it was wrong. But the cool story is they literally became really good friends. I think they knew a lot of people in common and stuff too. But it's funny how he asked me, he said, you have every right to write me up. I'll go with you, make it easy. I'm wrong, but man, will you let me stick around and shoot birds? This is many ducks I've seen anywhere.
He had his hat in his hand,
Yeah.
and pointed out that common interest, that common love, and that goes a long way.
And didn't
They was wrong, but it turned out great because they're two great people and they ended up being good friends.
Well, that's I mean, it's okay to forgive people, you
Yep.
know, if you decide you want to.
They had one more man they could shoot the limit of ducks too.
right.
What are you saying, Lane?
Well, I think I can mention some names in this one because this is a pretty, this is a very well known story. I believe in the duck community between Spence and Brooks Tinsley, how they met, running to get to a public hole together. Both met there at the same time. Both are very hard, I would think, very
Alpha.
determined people.
I'm telling you.
And then they had a meeting of
Hardcore.
minds right there and ended up hunting together that morning and have been hunting buddies, since then. So there you go.
Yeah, that is.
And that is that.
I think you're right.
I think,
Yeah, it's frustrating when you do pull up to that gate and that person is like, I'm hunting. I've got a turkey that I think is going to gobble 100 yards from here. So I have this gate. It's all mine,
Yeah, those kind of
you need to
scenarios
move
don't
on.
go
And
well.
I was like, well, I just want to park here so I can go across
I'm
the
going to
road
walk
and
past
hunt.
your turkey.
And they won't even let you hunt it,
Well, and
And
there's-
they're not telling the truth too,
right. But having said that, if when you do meet, if it's okay too, if they're like, no, I hunt alone, I don't want to hunt alone, don't mess me up, that's okay too. It's
That is
public
okay.
land.
That's right.
I know, and it could be me at some point. It just depends. You know how it is with a turkey. That turkey may have you all twisted up, and it's very serious between you and him. And I don't want your input or your help. Just
Yeah.
so that's fair too.
Okay.
I think another point to make, listening to everybody too, it's just always, it's serious.
It is
Public
serious.
hunting, even next to your property line where you
It's
are and
serious.
someone's there, it's serious. It could be dangerous, and quite commonly people are not polite and not agreeing on things. I mean, it does set people off, and bad things can happen. So I'm just saying, give everybody be very careful, take it very serious, try your best to make it a good situation, like we talked about, maybe where you get along, but don't assume that, and be careful because things could get inflamed really quick. Unfortunately, people act pretty silly about big deer a lot of times.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, but
And
I mean,
ducks too.
Ducks.
And
chicken-
turkeys.
Imagine that.
But private is getting smaller and smaller.
It is.
What do they call that? Parcelization or
Segmentation.
segmentation
so
of the landscape.
The 160s now are
40s.
people will sell them and then flip them with 40s, and so it's becoming increasingly common to have more and more people in the woods, more property line type interactions. And so it's
if you
And
have
access
if you
is
have
a
a smaller place, the best thing for your place is that cooperative with your neighbors. So instead of having 200 acres, you might have 1,000 that you cooperatively agree on, and then by doing that, you become friends to get along on the hunting issues too. So that's the way to go.
It is, and to your point, access is everything. If we don't have it, the sport doesn't continue to grow. We can't recruit new hunters, so we all need to be respectable about it.
Yeah. So, Lanny, what about your scenario? Let's talk through
I've
that
already
one.
forgotten that one again
Yeah.
already.
So I've got one.
Okay.
So, and this I used to experience this trying to duck hunt on the Tom Beebe River. But you would
The canvasback chase.
you'd get up early and
Yeah.
you'd and it's foggy and it's dangerous stumps and you'd run your motor as far as you could, then you'd push pole for 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden you'd come around a corner and there'd be some decoys, and that person could have shined a light 30 minutes
yeah.
ahead of time
Give
and
you-
said, "We're already back here," and then you got to turn around and push pole back out.
Is this in the black dark or?
Yeah, in the black darks. I mean, I'm saying somebody could have been a little courteous and said, "Hey, flashlight,
courteous.
we're already back here," instead of letting you get all the way on them.
Well, I would flash the light, hoping they would.
Yeah, I would
leave,
definitely want to. I'd wand them way out there.
Yeah.
You said it was foggy, Bobby.
but you can see a light through the fog. But I'm just there's a lot of common courtesies. You mentioned
poor Bobby.
You mentioned yeah, it is all about me. But I've had that experience a bunch. But I'm asking you guys, what is the right thing to do in that scenario if you're there first?
Yeah, I think you shine the light 100%, or let them know you're there. I mean, because time is precious, especially with duck hunting. You're wanting to get there.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's safer that way.
Yeah.
You got to shine the light if you're
gotta shine
whoever
the light.
this is out there, because
know.
think about it. They may come on up in there and hunt anyway. At least they know you're there,
Right.
And each other know you're there. So I mean, there's a big safety issue about that if you're not careful.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't shine the light.
'Cause
Most
you
most
might-
time
yeah,
people are extra shining you.
Yeah, I mean-
You're the one imposing.
You have no chance of them leaving if you don't
Yeah, that's
shine the
right.
light. So at least
Yeah.
you got a chance they would move on to somewhere else.
So what did in your scenario would have got us say, hey man, hey, once you got up there and sat down?
Yeah, well, I mean, once I got up close and I could see the decoys, and then they popped on the light. Then I had to push pole all the way back out and go to an.
They were like, we're gonna let this guy come all the way up in here first.
But I mean, you
That
got to
could
remember,
backfire on them though.
yeah, it could, because you
people
could
know-
just
I think I'm
stay.
gonna stay.
You could stay.
it's amazing how inflamed people can get over this stuff. though.
Oh,
I think it's worse with duck hunting. It seems like I'm
know,
more
the-
negative.
The problem with duck hunting is there's so much, and that's what breaks my heart a lot of times. There's such limited access for something people love to do so much. But I saw someone sent me a video from a public landing spot, and it showed the boat sitting there on the trailer, and it's like the time code was like 12:22 a.m. And then they panned, and it was just as far as you could see all the way, like 180 degrees of boats and boats and boats and boats.
Yeah.
And boats and boats waiting to put in.
It's
I
nuts.
was like,
Y'all can have
man.
that.
Think about
Yeah.
Mahana in the '90s. And
Yeah, and I
all
mean-
those vehicles on that road.
Good for them loving it that much, but I mean, it's tough. And that's the hard part about ducks is there's so much more limited access.
I think,
for
yeah,
people.
and there's a level up on that one too, because the duck hunting situation, especially on public land, is more dangerous. It's boats, it's waters, it's all those kind of things. So,
It is.
yeah, you got to be on your pins and
And when
needles.
you-
and
when
there's
you-
boat ramp etiquette all the way
Well,
around.
yeah, I want to talk
know?
about that just for a
Yeah.
second.
Stake-
So when
the
you've got
stakes are
that,
high.
Yeah, boat ramp etiquette is
get
the
all your
real-
stuff ready. So all you got to do is back in and push off. Don't be doing a bunch of stuff as you're backing down or the boat. You know what I'm saying?
I think you
be
got
ready.
a personal gripe about
Well,
this.
I've experienced some
What
of
about
that.
the Sky Blaster?
Oh,
And private with duck hunting, you're hunting close with your neighbors.
Sometimes,
in a
yeah.
lot of
Oh, yeah.
scenarios.
Can be, yep.
So what do you do about that person?
I don't know what you can do about them.
I
That's
don't
another
either.
thing you can
I mean, it's
Yeah.
legal,
Yeah.
right?
I don't think you can do anything.
Outlast them.
Yeah.
Maybe we introduce them to the new Sonsor Central shotgun suppressor.
Well, look at you. That's a good idea.
A little quieter. We're
There you
excited
go.
about that. Have you heard about this thing?
I
Brent?
have not heard
Yeah,
about
so-
this. Nice pun.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
You have to watch next week. We'll have that podcast out. So, there's a boat ramp etiquette, and guys just
And there's an
Be
ebb
quick.
and a flow to it. That's right. Be
and
prepared.
help somebody. I mean, there's always somebody that needs a little
Absolutely.
help at the
Especially
boat
at the
ramp.
boat
I
ramp,
would
there is.
say if you're going somewhere to public duck hunt and you haven't really been there and understood what, I would dare go unless you talk to some people who are like the locals that hunt there all the time and know the lay of the land and the way people act and stuff. Because, and look, I'm not a super. I've been blessed to hunt not public land, but I've been a fair amount, and it seems to me there is just kind of a code.
Oh, yeah.
With the locals that hunt there all the time in a lot of these places. And if you violate that code, look out. So I would
You will be
sure and talk
notified.
to someone who's really up on that, the way things work with that group, because you'll fit right in or you won't. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you won't, it's probably not pleasant.
Yeah. So I got one for you. So let's change seasons here.
Oh, I'm not.
So it's the spring of the year, and I'm sitting in the front of a john boat with somebody, and we're sculling along, trying to catch some crappie, and all of a sudden there's a limb line, and it's just jugging up and down.
Yeah, I know.
Lanny, what should I do?
I thought you were going to say there was a turkey roosted above you.
Yeah.
That's another one. Go ahead.
For me, I love, I think you built this scenario specifically for me, 100%. So
It's the one you forgot.
yeah, it is the one I forgot. And I was like, I wonder if he's going to say this one. But no, with a limb line, I'm not going to lie, I might go and see what's on it, but you do not take the fish. You
That's
do
the
not.
code. Now, see, that's what I was talking about because
You do not take
he
the fish.
lives on the waterway and he catfishes all the time,
It's code.
and there's a
big
code
fish.
about that. So
But it'd be okay to pull it up and just see what it was.
I didn't say it was. I just said that's probably what I was going to do. But I was going to
Well,
leave it on there.
He probably also knows whose lines they are.
Yeah,
You know.
to a certain degree. But no, for me personally, we've talked about this a little bit. When I'm hunting or fishing, I want to come back to the house. If I have had the blessing to harvest something, I want it to be because of my efforts and the time and the energy and the effort I put in. So,
even when you're hard up for flathead fillets,
I mean, it's a tough one. I'm not going to lie. That's why I was going to look. But I mean, no.
it's funny. I grew up. You've heard my story before when I was fished, trout line fishing with my Uncle Bud, and found out there was people that did it for a living. That's what I told him. I said, that's what I'm going to do when I grow up. I'm going to trout line fish for a living. But the code at that point, this was over in Alabama, was pretty much because he had done it all his life, is that it was all fair game if it was out there. Now, a lot of people went to great lengths to hide their trot lines, and you never knew they were there. But if you came across stuff, but the problem, he said, don't ever touch a commercial fisherman's, because you could get hurt by somebody.
Yeah.
So back then it was like known amongst, and so how do you know? I don't know. He said, we're better off not to mess with it.
I'm going to flip this one around on you. You're out at the waterway, green trout fishing in your fancy little boat with all your rods and reels, with all your different scenarios
I'm with
on
you.
it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it already.
You're enjoying it already. I can see you.
Yeah.
You're pitching up there to the stump by the bass grass, and you hang one of your $12 lures.
Oh yeah, you cut that trot line.
That's
Get that-
it. We see what we're working
Yeah,
with here.
you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
You didn't even have to
shouldn't, no.
finish.
You shouldn't. You can try to get it off. But,
It's
but-
odd to me that the fish question was even a question.
Yeah.
I guess the South Arkansas and me, you don't touch another man's trout line.
And I just, I just.
That is aggravating though. When you hang a $12 Rapala crankbait on a trot line. That is, like, ugh. But usually it'll give and you can get it up and get your lure off.
Yeah.
And you can feel if there's any catfish on it while you're doing that. But you're right. You shouldn't cut a guy's trot line. Brent, what is South Arkansas? Well, you guys got more etiquette over there than the rest of us? What's going on?
No, you just might get drowned for messing with
That's where
somebody's
I'm
trot
from.
line.
You don't mess with
I was
Maybe
always,
less etiquette.
I was always scared it might be a commercial fisherman, so I didn't touch them.
more consequences.
It's
You hear
like-
the same thing diving for lobsters in
I was
Florida.
going to say crab pots in the marsh.
Yes, sir. Because the first time you go down there, to your point, you need to talk to some locals first because you're like, well, there's a whole box of them right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Help us
And-
out. Self-service.
Yeah.
And they lease water down there. It's
Yeah.
different than here. So,
you got
commercial fishermen, it's not worth the risk.
Yeah, got to be careful.
So what's interesting, a lot of this, though, really kind of boils down to, like you said earlier, manners and common sense. And treat people how you would want to be treated.
It's what you
Exactly.
do
I think
when
there's
no
a-
one's looking.
There
And
you
that's
go.
so often in hunting in the woods or out on the water. It's what
right.
you do when no one's looking.
I mean, that's that old saying too. What comes around goes around.
That's
So,
why I don't
be
keep that
careful.
fish.
If you're gonna breach some of this, you need to be careful.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to say that, but you nailed it. What goes around comes around.
Dudley, you got another scenario?
Yeah, I mean, so what about some of these hunting camp dynamic scenarios? Like, what about just trying to think, that you got safety stuff. What about the guy that is just basically moved into the deer camp and just hunts
That guy.
all the best spots while everybody's gone waiting for the weekend?
The guy that doesn't have a job during deer season or
Right.
turkey season.
Yeah.
That's
What do
a
you do
tough
about
one.
that guy?
What can you do about that guy?
Well,
I don't know. Is
that
that
has
is
to
that
be-
considered rude to do that, or I mean,
mean,
are
I
they
don't
taking
know.
advantage?
The only way you do anything about that is you know everybody that's getting in the club. You're not just grabbing names to pay for the club. You've got to have people and have a visit and get that straight up front, or you can't blame the guy for going all the time.
Yeah,
If
or,
you
the,
hadn't-
or the person that doesn't know how to hunt the wind and goes in and hunts the good spot.
Oh,
when the
I've
wind
got a
is wrong.
scenario of that.
Yeah, that's
That's why you get a group of people that enjoy it. It's hard to do, but I've listened to guests on the podcast even talk about they're actually really proud for other people in the club for killing that big deer. Now,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know that's not that common, and there's a lot of jealousy out
You
there.
should
but
be, though. It's
get a group
tough.
that enjoys, not just only hunting together, but working on the place together. And then most of your problems won't happen.
I tell you a little bit on
Communication.
that win scenario too. This is a real deal. A guy here in town was wanting to get into bow hunting and talked to us about it. We helped him, told him the scenarios. This is several years ago, and he ended up getting a bow and he was pretty good at shooting the thing. And then he got in a club, and all you heard around town was, "Oh my gosh, he is completely messing up everybody's hunt." He's purposely going in on the wrong wind. And I had the chance to talk to him. I'm like, "Dude, are you playing the wind?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "So, the wind's, there's a north wind today. Do you know what that means?" He goes, "Yeah, it's blowing towards the north." And I said, "No, dog. That means it's coming from the north." So, some of the young people really don't necessarily, or the new ones don't know what they're doing.
I admit that I am wind dyslexic. I am, or maybe looking at the weather. When I see that arrow, sometimes my brain registers it the
other
opposite.
way.
For example, last weekend on Saturday morning, I walked into this spot that I have been saving.
Your
And
sanctuary.
And I was standing there looking at the stand, and I said, "Oh my gosh, why is the wind at my back?" And I got to thinking about it, and I was like,
Whoops.
I dyslexiated the weatherman.
I turned the arrow. So be patient with new folks, because you don't necessarily, all of us have spent a lot of time in the woods.
What about the button buck shooter?
Hey man, I can't
It
point any
happens.
fingers at that.
Man.
It happens.
It happens.
Isn't that called antlerless?
It is,
Okay,
but
good.
I just know it seems like people have gotten better about this. But there used to be fines for the button buck, and
They're dropping like flies this year.
Yeah.
That's your
I
buck.
looked-
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I guess
Unfortunately, I looked in our cooler out the other day. We had some guests in, and unfortunately,
Yeah, it happens. It's happening a lot this year too.
It's antlerless, so I think it's legal under
yeah.
the antlerless
Yeah,
rule, but
it
it is completely avoidable. I think it's legal still, similar to the bearded hen in some states, because legislation says that you may not know the difference. And you should, if you take a little time, be able to distinguish.
Well, just know this time of year, the first deer in the field is more than likely.
Yeah.
If it's by itself.
they
If it's
say
by
don't-
itself,
don't shoot one by
don't-
itself. That's one thing. But if you've watched deer at all, I mean, practice judging deer. But if it has a short face, do not shoot it.
that
Yeah.
little blunt head.
Yeah.
so
50-50.
who
Doesn't
in
matter,
this
just
room
don't
has
shoot it.
who in this room has not killed a button buck?
No, I've killed a bunch of them. by
I've
myself.
killed a pile of them
That's how I learned how to recognize them.
Okay.
by walking up
So
on them.
I used to be that guy, and I was
Guilty.
kind of mean about it. I'm a landowner. I had friends that were lessees, and I accidentally killed 2 in 1 year, about 10 years ago.
Well, here's the thing: is that
and so it kind of taught me, like, maybe people do need to
Well,
mess up a time or
And
two.
look, when you're on pressure, you have pressure to increase your antlerless harvest to get your deer density in check. It just. If
I'm
you-
out there
That's
too.
kind of what
excited.
we were
Yeah.
doing at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, the one you cry over is somebody shoots a 2-year-old
10,
point.
right? You
Yes.
had them shoot the
That's-
antlerless than
that's
the
a crime.
210,
Yeah.
right?
That's
I
a-
would rather a button buck than a buck that's shed. That late season, I'm going to
Yeah.
get my does late season, you kill a 2-year-old that's shed.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I got a scenario for everybody. So you get invited by somebody, you really have a lot of, that, boy, they've got a great place and they kill a lot of turkeys and everything. You meet up with him.
Why
and
is it always about turkey?
and you walk, he sends you into, like, okay, this is where I want you to go. I'm going to go on this other side. And he turns you
Well,
loose
you're
on about
definitely not
600
talking about me.
No,
That's
no,
for
that's
sure.
right.
Nobody. I'm not going to turn you loose on anything.
turns you loose and it tells you where to go, and you're walking down, and it's feeling right, and the owls are hooting, and nothing's gobbled yet. But you start getting in there, and all of a sudden, the ground's all fluffed up everywhere, and you maybe see a little bit of corn here or
Little
some
chops.
seaweed, and you're like, oh my goodness, and you're standing there, and then a turkey gobbles about 100 yards away. What do you do?
You
there?
get the hell out
You
of
got to
Dodge.
get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I
have to get out.
run immediately.
I have to get out. Too.
I actually,
You need to get out.
I'm so
too, Bobby,
paranoid
by the
about
way.
that. I'm unloading my gun there
Yeah.
and getting away as fast as I can.
I'm the same way.
I have actually asked, when I've been invited, which is not very often, but I ask if they're using feed.
You
on
have
their-
to now.
You have
You
to
do.
now, and I just respectfully say I'm sorry. But,
what if
maybe
they
I can,
lie and tell you they don't? You still might have Bobby's scenario where you
I've been in this scenario.
I think a lot of us
Brent didn't
have.
answer. Brent was real quiet.
How close
waiting
was
that
he?
Run.
That's gonna be common out there too.
Yeah, it's uncommon to kill a turkey that doesn't have bait and it's
Yeah.
crawling out.
And I think from that standpoint, myself, I've gotten to a point where I'm going to politely tell them that that's not right.
Yeah.
It's gotten so bad. It's gotten so bad.
So here's one for you, Brent. You get invited by a friend that's got a lot of land out in the prairie. It's a club. And they've got strict rules. They're really trying to do things right and just grow and harvest big deer. And this guy gets one deer a year as a club member, but he's invited you to come as a guest. And they show you some of their bigger deer. Before y'all go hunting, you're looking at some pictures, and they've got some big deer. He puts you out in a stand, and one of these big deer shows up. And if you shoot it, that's going to be his big deer for the year.
Y'all should talk about this before y'all go hunting.
Yeah, so two things. He probably
Sorry.
shouldn't have invited you. If he gets one big deer, he probably shouldn't have invited you. But you'll always get invited back if you don't shoot. Like, I carry a camera a lot. I video a lot. And you'll always get invited back. It just depends on what you value more, is that deer or that friendship.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Like, no one's ever going to say, don't bring that guy back because he passed on. He watched a couple of our big deer and didn't shoot them.
Instead, you might could shoot a doe or two and really get invited back.
Yeah,
It's good advice.
I have sometimes the uncomfortable situation of having friends that have a lot of land and big deer, and I'll go and video or just go knowing that I'm not going to pull the trigger. So I'm sort of, my tolerance level is different than most. Like, I'm desensitized to it, but yeah, you always get invited back if you don't shoot.
Good advice.
So yeah, I remember someone used to kind of help manage some of my property before, and they were getting a lot of people asking him, like, "Hey, you think I could?
I just want to shoot
You
doe."
think? Yeah. Do you think he'd let me go hunting? I mean, I just want to shoot does." He's like, "Yeah, you know what? We could use some help. Be a friend of his or somebody, And they showed up and said, "You got your doe gun? Yeah. And they go, "What do I do if a huge buck steps out though?" And he said, "You said you were going to shoot does, so you don't shoot it. Well, a really big one?" And it's so funny, they were just using that as an excuse to get on the place to try to shoot one. But I was like, that's so typical.
Yeah, that is. Well, is there any more scenarios?
I have one I just thought about, and this is actually
I thought I smelled
organic
wood burning.
This is a real life scenario that is going on right now. So,
Hope it's not me.
no, I wouldn't do this to you. No. So, a lot of property around here have multiple heirs. So, or either they're in estates, and so you can get part of the person to give you permission, and then so another party might be giving another one permission. So if you do have technically written permission to be on a place, there's multiple people that can assign property to it. And let's say it's a duck hole.
A duck hole that borders maybe my place.
That's close to his place in a scenario.
Yep.
And you over the years you have communicated with other people with access to it, so they know kind of what the scenario. And this is primarily a waterfowl spot. It is the only thing it would be good for is would you echo waterfowl?
It means it's underwater. I'd say yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of water on it. So you show up to check the water there, and there is a corn feeder in the middle of on the not on the water yet. The water hadn't got in there, but it's in the waterfowl area, and there's a stand there, a deer stand there. What do you do?
So you said multiple heirs.
Mm-hmm. You don't have exclusive right to hunt this property, but you do have technically permission.
Are we deer hunting or duck hunting?
You're duck hunting.
So that's a bigger question is what is, now that almost all states, spin cast feeders are legal in deer season. You sit there and shoot one over to whatever. But how close could that be to water?
The water will eventually get there.
Well, I mean, what if the water's not?
You're right. What if
but
the water
there's
doesn't get up
corn
there?
within 20 feet and maybe some wood ducks get out and, crawl around on the bank and get, I mean, how close is illegal?
Who has?
That's a good question.
This is a real life scenario.
Okay.
I do not know what to do.
So you have the lease agreement scenario, and then you have it's legal to bait deer but not legal to bait ducks scenario.
Right.
Do they have written permission?
I would say, I don't know if it's written, but it can be validated permission because yes.
Yeah.
So they have permission. Let's put it that now. Yes.
That's a legal thing with the game warden. What's legal or not as far as a spin cast in adjacency to some water. Mm-hmm. So that's the issue.
It's a tough one.
It could be
to me, it's
illegal
like
and an
if I went duck hunting, could they come in there and write
That's
me a
exactly
ticket
what we're worried about.
because that was over there. So,
That's
I mean, I think you got to take them in there and let them look at it to see what's legal or not.
Is this on the neighbor or same track? Y'all hunting
Same track.
Same track.
Yep. I know right what you're talking about.
Yeah, no neighbor, same track. Great guys. I mean, relationship with everybody that's in there. Now, you can't exactly, nobody will own up to who's what is what. You know what I mean? But
My vote would be ethically, the deer hunters should just hunt it without a feeder so that you can duck hunt it when the water gets
Or
up.
find out what's legal and ask them to move that feeder that far away that it's legal, because surely there's a distance that's probably not that far that it would be legal.
But as it sits, if there's no corn in the water, I would think you'd be legal duck hunting.
Well, I mean, but how close is legal? I mean, you don't want someone to come in there and try to make a case.
Yeah, I
out of
agree.
it's a tough one. It is. So, y'all think I should physically take the warden in there and say, what do I do about this
You
situation?
can probably talk to them on the phone about it first.
Yeah.
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 That's a good question. That's a good thing to think about because, years ago, it would just be illegal to even have the feeder.
Right.
But since that's changed,
It's changed now.
it could be, adjacency could be a.
And nobody's owning up to that's my feeder.
I mean, it's not mine. That's all you're hearing. You know what I mean?
So maybe you go move it.
Tip it over. You'll find out whose it is.
Yeah, exactly right.
Put a camera up.
Well, in our state, it has to be at least 100 yards from the property.
That's why I was asking
Right.
about the property
That's right.
line.
It's
I forgot
smack
about that,
dab
yeah.
in the middle of it.
But it's not a big piece of property.
No,
like
it's a
40
small
or
tract.
80 acres.
50
something.
acres.
Yeah.
It's a 50-acre tract.
So
And in theory, every bit of it could be underwater at some point.
All right, we got another. Have we beat this horse to death? We got another scenario we can talk through.
I got a quick one.
got-
Pretty simple.
So yeah, I got
Who
one.
is this? I got one too.
I got one. This one's probably more important than anybody's. No, bear with me. Y'all don't agree it's more important. So you're asked by Bobby to sit on a podcast.
Oh,
And it goes overtime and you're starving to death at lunch. What do? Do you get up and go eat or you just sit there and take it? What do you do?
Brent, there's been a number of times when he's just gotten up and run out the door. We don't ever even know what's going on. We assume it's like a business emergency.
I
or
shouldn't be
something.
looking at the clock. That's
But
my
it could
fault.
be that he
know.
wants one of these Chick-fil-A milkshakes.
we
need to-
should get a lunch sponsor.
We should. There's a
That's a good
guy named
idea.
Trip that has sent some Chick-fil-A
Oh,
goodies up
he is
here.
going to be a hero.
We need to holler at
Christmas.
Trip.
So I think the right thing to do, Tox, is just tough it out.
Yeah.
Just tough it out for a few more minutes. And
yeah, I've got to
you'll be
prep for a
okay.
presentation for 400 people.
Well,
at
we
Mississippi
got to get
State.
Richie in the house now.
No,
He's
it's
got-
okay.
No,
It's-
come
we
on,
have we
Richie.
have we have
I'm
other
just
things
one-
we can do. We can
Well,
we
we-
can have our cake and eat it too.
Do you have a hypothetical?
Let's don't talk about eating, Richie.
So the way of the world these days, hunters, new hunters, and we all use Onyx and other apps, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the scenario can be whitetail, turkey, whatever. So you can any way you want to put it, a buddy, not a semi-friend, whatever, ask you for that pin.
That is easy.
That's easy.
Yeah, so easy.
There's questions you don't ask. That's part
right.
of etiquette, not
Yeah,
asking.
You don't ask for their opinion.
I would say,
And if they just offer them up, but you don't ask.
I'm going to throw out that there's exceptions to this. So, what if you drew a hunt at a WMA that you've never been to, and you're probably never going to go back there again, and you just want to see, a buddy that also puts in for that spot, and maybe they can help you out, or maybe you could even trade a pin. So when they draw your favorite public land place, they may get to go hunt your spot once in their lifetime. So I would say in that scenario, yeah, maybe trade a pen with somebody.
I'm not against sharing my pens. We do that around here. If somebody gets drawn to a public area that they hadn't been before, I automatically open up. But it's like, I think the thing is asking for it. Hey, give me your pens, you know.
Well, this
That's
goes
kinda-
back to like a bigger picture thing, and y'all have heard me say it, is like working with someone or friendship. So let's agree up front. I don't care what you ask for. I want you to feel free to ask for anything you want to ask for. And don't ever get your feelings hurt if the answer is no.
Yeah, there you go.
And that way, at least you're open and honest. But it's the hard part is agreeing you're not going to get your feelings
I
hurt.
would hint around really heavily, Richie. Man, it sure would be nice to know
But-
where to go. Hadn't you been in there before?
You got to totally.
know?
Hey, if somebody doesn't want to give you that pen,
It's all about presentation.
That's right.
You got to respect
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So, Richie, and I think this is one thing we need to hit on before we close this out. I thought Richie was going to bring up about he's got a still hunting place that he's trying to keep really quiet,
Yeah.
and there's some deer dogs running through it and around it. I thought that's maybe where you
Well,
were gonna
well,
go.
that is another scenario too. Yeah, we've had some run-ins with dog hunters already this year,
Dudley's dealing with the same thing.
and
So, what's the best way to handle this, guys? Is it to catch the dog and call the owner? What do y'all say?
I think Dudley has just been through this week, and I think he
Rabbit
handled
dogs.
It, I think he handled it pretty squarely.
What'd you do?
I called I was able to catch the dog. The owner can't get his dogs to come to him for some reason, but they come right to me. So I
They smell the
automatically
cats on you.
assume that they're probably not being treated properly. But so I got one that had a collar, and I called him, and I was politely assertive. That's my mom's. That's what she calls it, polite assertiveness. And I was very polite, but I was also assertive. I don't think it's fair to be running rabbit dogs on 40 acres and think that they can stay within that 40-acre area.
So this is an adjoining landowner.
Yeah, and I was respectful. I said, we've got friends in town that came to hunt. This is their only chance, and all they have been looking at is rabbit dogs all weekend. And so, I just said, try to put yourself in my shoes, and I hope you understand.
Yeah.
And he came and got his dogs.
yeah, we kind of had that same situation too. Had two dogs running on the property. Same thing. Caught them, threw them in the back of the truck, took them to the end of the road there. The dog owner was at the end of the road, had a conversation with them, and he went south pretty quick. And it got pretty heated. And so, but eventually, everybody separated, and they went their way, we went our way. And they don't have, I guess you'd say, permission with properties around us. And so then later that afternoon, another dog came on the property. Again, got that dog, threw him in the back of the truck, took him to the end of the road. Another dog owner was there, had a great conversation with him.
Separate parties.
Separate party, separate person in the same party.
Yeah.
Came up, said, "Hey, we heard about the altercation and everything. We're very sorry that that happened and whatnot, and left on good terms and
Right.
whatnot." So it's kind of one of those things,
Depends who you.
It
talking
really
to.
depends.
Yeah.
In my scenario, half of the dogs had collars. None of them had any form of tracking collar or pinging device that would, they could call the dogs
Right.
back. And so they were roaming around all weekend. Not being fed, not being taken care
Yeah.
of.
So, take care of your dogs. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's
and
the
there's
main
hunting dogs, rabbit dogs, deer dogs, and then there's just
thing. Dogs.
Dogs.
We've got that. We know
Yeah,
that.
the
That's
neighbors'
a
dogs, yeah.
Very common scenario in the place. One of our places.
very
for sure.
frustrating.
Very
You ever have that, Brent? You ever run into that?
Yeah, I
scenario?
have. I think everybody that hunts
Here.
has dealt with that. It would, like I said, either hunting dogs or just random yard dogs, and it just comes back to a human interaction. You've got to be accepting of a certain amount of this,
Right.
and not expect it to go your way all the time. And we don't live in a world of absolute, hunting, and it's like being involved at your church or at work. We've got a task we're here to do. There's a thing, whether that's the land or the wildlife, but it's the humans a lot of times. It's us that complicate it.
No,
I
100%.
mean, you can get along if you want to get along most of the time.
He's pretty level.
And these are fellow hunters
Yeah,
too. We should all be on the same team.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
you're
can
right.
you can communicate, you know.
Yeah, remember that's a good point, Doug. Everybody remember we're all on
And
the
don't
on the hunting
don't
team.
always get defensive. Try to hear their side of the story.
Yeah, and you're not always gonna be right. That's the thing. I mean, a lot of times you have a perfectly good reason to be upset. Well, the difference between like nice people and mean people, maybe you don't take it. Maybe a little grace goes a long way.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
I mean, the
grace
first
goes
the
a
first
long
time,
Yeah,
first
the
time.
first-
too.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you got them constant line steppers. You know what I mean?
I will say that the gentleman said, "Thank you for being nice about this."
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what. You can get a lot further being nice and people liking you than the opposite. That's for
Right.
sure. I mean, just look at Bobby. You know,
Yeah, Brent, you're pretty level-headed over there. That means tobacco runs out of both sides of your mouth.
he's
I
got a
guess.
woodsman's perspective.
He
you know,
does. Is that the woodsman predicament or the? I can't-
At times it is.
Yeah.
At
There's
times
always
it certainly is.
Maybe this is the predicament.
Another one of
show.
my favorite podcasts.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So, guys, look, I think we beat that horse pretty hard. It's pretty, and there's so much to these describing these scenarios that.
Yeah.
But I think what bubbles out of this is what everybody just said: common sense and manners go a long way.
Yeah.
And what's funny, real quick, is talking about the feeder situation. It's funny how ethics has evolved over time, because you go back 15 years ago, imagine having a conversation about feeding being ethical. Like, like just as
that
things
never-
evolve and things change,
We used to dream about feeding.
I was never around corn until recently.
Yeah.
I just didn't grow up.
people
around
did it sneaky.
No, it
And,
changed.
and then
It's
you had,
changed.
I remember I invited a buddy, and he was so addicted to baiting that he was, put like a gallon bag of it in his backpack.
Oh my gosh.
And he would have to take it out. This was 20 years ago, but every hunt he had to carry bait and
compulsion.
walk around in front of his stand and put it out before he went hunting. But
Was he from Texas?
no.
That used to be the big allure of getting to go to Texas.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
that's right.
Yeah. You're like, they rode in with a feeder running on the truck. You know what I mean?
Look, it was baiting. I remember in the 80s getting set out. Dad put me by a tree, and if there was a salt block out there, we kind of had to be quiet about
Oh.
it. That was baiting.
Yeah,
about that?
you dreamed about baiting and doe day. That's what I was always
Yep.
worried about.
Well, guys, this has been interesting. It's a different kind of podcast today, what we did, but I think maybe if
It'd be interesting to see, what other people think. So comment, like us, follow us, let us know what you do in these scenarios, because it is about perspective, and our views are very hyper local. I
Yes,
would say
yes.
to what's going on here and where we've here. So there's a lot of variation out there. That's for sure.
we've got a giveaway. We're giving away over 100 prizes in honor of this. So guys need to go to the Mossy Oak Gamekeeper website.
Yes,
Go
click
to,
on the Gamekeeper giveaway and get signed up. So we're going to start drawing winners with this episode. So there'll be a specific, we'll name those winners coming up in this episode, and then we're going to draw winners once a week from now through middle of February.
100 prizes.
So there's going to be over 100 winners. There really are, and
Like-
it's from all our
like
great partners.
Real prizes, good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
Y'all
Really
give
cool
away
stuff.
good stuff.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it's been fun. Why don't we wrap this thing
Yeah,
up?
good job on the cake, Jackson. Did you make that yourself?
And you spelled 400 right. How
He's
about that?
killing it.
Yeah. It looks like from here. It looks like
It's upside down. Or that would be ooh.
Yeah. All right. Say goodbye, Dudley.
Goodbye, Dudley.
Get us out of here, Richie.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Gamekeeper Podcast, and be sure to tune in again. Subscribe to Gamekeeper Farming for Wildlife magazine, and don't miss the Mossy Oak Properties Fistful of Dirt podcast with my good buddy, Ronnie Cuz Strickland.